Commander HFY stood on the bridge of his warship and looked out at the stars. His ship was called the Shadowbane, and it was the biggest and strongest ship in his fleet. Behind him, 11 other warships followed through the dark space between planets. Each ship was sleek and beautiful, built by the best engineers in the Zelkari Empire. The Zelkari had been the rulers of this part of space for 300 years. They had conquered dozens of worlds and made slaves of many different alien races. Their ships were fast, and their weapons were powerful. No one had ever beaten them in battle. Today, they were hunting new prey. Their target was a small blue and green planet that circled a yellow star. The beings who lived there called themselves humans, and they called their world Earth. The Zelkari scouts had been watching this world for months, and what they saw made them laugh. The humans were weak and primitive. They had only just learned to build ships that could travel between planets. Their technology was crude and simple. Their weapons were basic metal projectiles fired by chemical explosions. They had no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no faster-than-light travel. They were perfect victims. HFY had conquered 17 worlds in his career. He knew the pattern well. First, his fleet would appear in the sky above the primitive world. The locals would panic and fire their weak weapons at his ships. The weapons would bounce off his shields like raindrops. Then his forces would land and take control of the major cities. Within a few days, the planet would belong to the Zelkari Empire. This mission would be no different. Admiral Corthan had given him clear orders. Take the human world, harvest its resources, and build a base for further expansion. The humans had useful minerals on their planet, and their star system had good locations for military outposts. Zenak, his young tactical officer, worked at his station nearby. The young Zelkari was fresh from the military academy, eager to prove himself in his first real battle. He had studied the human intelligence reports for weeks, memorizing every detail about their primitive ships and weapons. "Sir, we are approaching the outer edge of their star system," Zenak reported. "Our stealth fields are active." "They cannot see us coming." HFY nodded with satisfaction. The Zelkari stealth technology was far beyond anything the humans possessed. His ships could move through space like ghosts, invisible to primitive sensors. By the time the humans realized they were under attack, it would be too late. "What do our scouts report about their defenses?" HFY asked. Zenak checked his data. "Screens. The humans have a few small patrol ships near their outer planets. Mining vessels and cargo haulers mostly. Their main population is concentrated on the third planet. They have no orbital defense platforms, no shield generators, no military stations." "Perfect," HFY said. "They will not even know we are here until we begin the attack." The fleet moved deeper into the human star system, passing between the rocky planets closer to the yellow star. HFY watched the tactical display as his ships maintained perfect formation. Each captain knew his role in the coming battle. The heavy cruisers would destroy any human ships that tried to resist. The smaller vessels would land troops on the planet's surface. The operation would be swift and clean. As they passed the fourth planet from the star, Zenak's instruments began picking up more human activity. "Sir, I am detecting several human vessels in the asteroid belt. They appear to be mining operations." "Ignore them," HFY ordered. "They are not a threat. Focus on the primary target." But as they moved past the asteroids, something appeared on their sensors that made Zenak's eyes widen with surprise. A single massive shape hung in the dark space between the fourth and third planets. It was huge, far larger than anything in their intelligence reports about human capabilities. "Commander," Zenak said, his voice tight with confusion, "there is a vessel ahead. It is ... It is very large." HFY moved to the tactical station and looked at the readings himself. The ship on the screen was enormous, nearly twice the size of his own dreadnought. Its hull was dark and angular, covered with weapon ports and sensor arrays. It looked nothing like the crude human vessels in their intelligence files. "What is the ship's designation?" HFY asked. The translation systems worked for a moment, then displayed the human letters on the screen. U.E.'s Defender, Zenak read. It appears to be some kind of battleship. HFY frowned. The intelligence reports had said nothing about human battleships. According to their information, the humans had only small patrol craft and civilian vessels. This ship was clearly something else entirely. "Are you certain the readings are correct?" he asked. Zenak double-checked his instruments. "Yes, sir. The ship is definitely there. It is very large and appears to be heavily armed." HFY studied the image more carefully. The human ship was positioned perfectly to intercept his fleet. As they approached their target planet, it was as if the humans had known they were coming. "How is that possible?" he wondered aloud. "Our stealth fields should make us invisible to their primitive sensors." "Perhaps it is just a coincidence," Zenak suggested. "Maybe they always keep guard ship in that position." But HFY had not survived 17 successful conquests by believing in coincidences. Something was wrong here. The human ship was too well positioned, too ready for battle. It was almost as if they had been waiting. He activated the communication system and sent a message to the other ships in his fleet. "All vessels maintain formation, but prepare for possible resistance. The humans may be more prepared than we." Expected, a response came back quickly from his other captains. They had all seen the large human ship on their sensors, and they were all puzzled by its presence. But they were confident in their superior technology and firepower. One human ship, no matter how large, could not stand against an entire Zelkari. "Battle fleet, shall we proceed with the attack, Commander?" Zenak asked. HFY looked at the human ship one more time. It hung in space like a sleeping giant, dark and silent. But something about it made him feel uneasy. In all his years of conquest, he had learned to trust his instincts. And right now, those instincts were telling him that this mission might not be as simple as he had expected. "Yes," he said finally. "Signal the fleet to advance, but stay alert. I have a feeling these humans might surprise us." As the Zelkari fleet moved toward Earth, the massive human battleship waited in the darkness between worlds, its sensors tracking every movement, its weapons ready for war. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UEC Defender and watched the enemy fleet approach. The ship's main view screen showed 12 alien vessels moving through space in perfect formation. They thought they were invisible, but the defenders' advanced sensors could see them clearly. Morrison was 52 years old and had been a soldier for most of his life. He had fought in the resource wars when water became scarce on Earth. He had commanded troops during the Mars Rebellion when the colonists tried to break free from Earth's control. He had seen more battles than most men, and he knew what war looked like. The Defender was humanity's first real warship designed to fight in space. It was huge and powerful, built with the best technology Earth could create. Every system on the ship was designed for one purpose: to protect humanity from alien threats. "Captain, the alien ships are getting closer," reported Lieutenant Commander Lisa Blake. She was the ship's weapons officer, a woman who had trained for years to operate the Defender's massive guns. "They will be in firing range in 10 minutes. Morrison nodded. He had been expecting this day for a long time. Earth scientists had always known that humans were not alone in the galaxy. They had detected alien radio signals and seen strange objects in deep space. It was only a matter of time before someone came to visit. "Have they responded to our messages?" Morrison asked. Communications Officer Pete Ryan shook his head. "No, sir. We have been broadcasting on all frequencies for the past 3 hours." Mathematical sequences, pictures, music, everything we can think of. They are not answering. Morrison had hoped the aliens would be friendly, but their behavior suggested otherwise. 12 warships approaching Earth in stealth mode was not the action of peaceful visitors. These aliens were here to fight. Arya, what can you tell me about their ships? Morrison asked. The ship's artificial intelligence responded immediately. Arya was the most advanced computer ever built by humans, capable of processing information faster than any human mind. The alien vessels appear to be built for conquest, Captain. Their weapons are energy-based, likely plasma or particle beam systems. Their hulls are sleek and designed for speed. They are clearly military vessels. How do they compare to our capabilities? Morrison asked. Their individual ships are smaller than the Defender, but they have superior numbers. Their weapons technology appears more advanced than ours, but their power systems seem inefficient. They are not pushing their equipment to maximum performance. Morrison understood. These aliens were used to fighting weaker enemies. They had never faced an opponent that could match them in battle. That was about to change. All hands, this is the captain, Morrison announced over the ship's communication system. We are about to make contact with an alien species. They appear to be hostile. Battle stations, everyone. This is not a drill. Throughout the massive ship, 2,000 crew. Members rushed to their posts. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Danny Carter checked the fusion reactors that powered the ship. In the fighter bays, pilots climbed into their cockpits and prepared for launch. In the weapons sections, gunners loaded the massive railguns that could fire metal projectiles at incredible speeds. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the ship's chief science officer, worked at her station analyzing the alien technology. Captain, I am detecting some interesting things about their ships. Their hulls are made of very advanced materials, but they seem to be built for comfort rather than pure military efficiency. What do you mean? Morrison asked. Their ships have artificial gravity systems that maintain perfect Earth normal conditions. Their life support systems are designed to keep the air clean and comfortable. Their crew quarters appear to be quite spacious. It suggests they are not used to long, difficult campaigns. Morrison found this information very interesting. The Defender was built differently. Every system was designed for maximum efficiency and survivability. The crew lived in small, cramped quarters. The air recycling systems were basic but reliable. The ship could operate for months without resupply if necessary. They are not warriors, Morrison realized. They are conquerors. They are used to easy victories against weak opponents. The alien fleet was now close enough to see clearly on the visual displays. Their ships were beautiful, with smooth curves and elegant lines. They looked like works of art rather than weapons of war. But Morrison knew that beautiful things could be deadly. Captain, they are powering up their weapons, Lisa Blake reported. Energy readings are increasing across all 12 ships. Morrison took a deep breath. This was the moment he had trained for his entire career. Open a channel to Earth Command. Tell them we are engaging the enemy. Send all our tactical data to the other ships under construction. The communication went out instantly. Back on Earth, Admiral Helen Cross received the message in the underground command center. Within minutes, every human military installation in the solar system was on high alert. Sir, the aliens are firing. Lisa Blake shouted. The view screen filled with light as dozens of energy beams lanced through space toward the Defender. The alien weapons were powerful, far more advanced than anything humans had ever built. But the Defender's shields were designed by humans who understood that someday they might face superior technology. The energy beams struck the ship's defensive barriers and spread across them like water hitting a window. The shields held, absorbing the massive amounts of energy and redirecting them into the ship's power systems. The lights on the bridge flickered for a moment, then stabilized. "Shields holding at 92%, reported the defensive systems officer. "Minor power fluctuations, but all systems are stable." Morrison allowed himself a small smile. The aliens had just revealed their capabilities, and the Defender had survived their best shot. Now it was time to show them what humans could do. "Weapons you are authorized to fire. Show them what Earth builds when we know someone is coming to hurt us." Lisa Blake's hands moved across her controls with practiced precision. The Defender's main guns turned toward the alien fleet, their massive barrels tracking the enemy ships. These were not energy weapons like the aliens used. These were railguns, magnetic accelerators that could fire solid projectiles at 15% of light speed. "Firing," Blake announced. The ship shuddered slightly as the railguns launched their deadly cargo. Tungsten rods, each weighing several tons, accelerated down the ship's main weapon tubes and streaked toward the alien fleet. At the speeds they were traveling, the projectiles carried more kinetic energy than nuclear weapons. The aliens had no idea what was coming. Their sensors detected the projectiles, but they moved so fast that there was no time to react. The first tungsten rod struck the alien frigate Night Stalker directly amidships. The ship simply vanished in a ball of superheated gas and twisted. Metal. On the bridge of the Shadowbane, Commander HFY watched in horror as one of his ships was destroyed instantly. The human weapon had moved faster than anything in Zelkari military records. The projectile had struck with such force that it had completely vaporized a ship that had participated in dozens of successful conquests. "Evasive maneuvers," HFY shouted to his fleet. "All ships scatter formation," but the human ship was already moving. The Defender's engines fired, pushing the massive vessel forward at acceleration rates that should have been impossible for something so large. The ship moved through space like a predator stalking its prey. Morrison watched the alien formation break apart as the enemy ships tried to avoid his weapons. "Launch fighters," he ordered. "Let's see how they handle multiple targets." The Defender's fighter bays opened, and 48 F-77 Valkyrie fighters launched into space. Each fighter was piloted by a human who had trained for years to fly in the deadly environment of space combat. They moved in perfect formation, their engines glowing like stars against the darkness. Lieutenant Amy Park led the fighter squadron, her voice crackling over the communication system. "Defender, this is Valkyrie Leader. We are engaging the enemy." Fighters. The battle had begun in earnest. The aliens had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had found an enemy that was ready to fight back with everything they had. The war for humanity's future was about to be decided. In the cold darkness between the worlds, the space between Mars and Earth became a battlefield unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Zelkari fleet scattered in all directions, trying to avoid the deadly projectiles that the human battleship fired at them. But the Defender was faster than they expected, and its weapons were more accurate than anything they had faced before. Commander HFY gripped the arms of his command chair as his ship shook from the shock waves of nearby explosions. The humans had destroyed 3 of his ships in the first 5 minutes of fighting. 3 ships that had conquered worlds and defeated dozens of enemy fleets were now nothing but glowing debris floating in space. "How are they moving so fast?" he demanded from his tactical officer. A ship that size should not be able to accelerate like that. Zenak worked frantically at his instruments, trying to understand the human technology. "Sir, their propulsion system is unlike anything in our databases. They appear to be using some kind of fusion drive that allows them to generate enormous amounts of thrust." A young officer was right, but he did not understand the full truth. The Defender was built by humans who had learned to push every system to its absolute limits. While the Zelkari designed their ships for comfort and efficiency, humans built theirs for raw performance and survival. On the Defender's Bridge, Captain Morrison watched the alien ships try to reform their battle line. The enemy was skilled and experienced, but they were fighting a different kind of war than they were used to. They expected their opponents to be impressed by their advanced technology and beautiful ships. Instead, they faced humans who cared only about winning. "Status report," Morrison ordered. "All systems operating normally," reported Chief Engineer Danny Carter over the communication system. "Reactors are running at 110% of rated capacity. We can maintain this level for another 6 hours." Morrison nodded. Running the reactors above their safe limits was dangerous, but this was not a time for playing it safe. The aliens had come to destroy his species, and he would use every trick and advantage he could find to stop them. "Weapons, target there." "Command ship," Morrison ordered. Lisa Blake adjusted her targeting systems, focusing on the largest alien vessel. The Shadowbane was trying to stay at long range, using its superior weapons to attack the Defender without getting close enough to be hit by the human railguns. "They are staying out of our effective range," Blake reported. "Their energy weapons have longer reach than our kinetic systems." "Then we go to them," Morrison decided, all ahead full. "Take us right into the middle of their formation." The Defender's engines roared to life, pushing the massive ship forward at maximum acceleration. The artificial gravity system strained to keep the crew comfortable as the ship pulled nearly 8 Gs of acceleration force. Any normal human would have been crushed by such forces, but the Defender's crew had trained for years to handle extreme conditions. The alien fleet was shocked by the human ship's direct approach. In their experience, smaller forces always tried to avoid close combat with superior numbers. But the humans were charging straight at them, ignoring the energy beams. That lit up space around their ship. Lieutenant Amy Park led her fighter squadron into the heart of the alien formation. The F-77 Valkyries were small and fast, designed to survive in the deadly environment of space combat. Each fighter was equipped with missiles and rapid-fire cannons that could punch through enemy armor. "Valkyrie 2, break left," Amy shouted into her radio as alien fighters swarmed around her squadron. "Valkyrie 5, watch your 6. The alien fighters were fast and maneuverable, but their pilots were not used to the aggressive tactics that humans employed. While the Zelkari pilots tried to maintain safe distances and use their superior technology, the human pilots flew directly at their enemies, accepting damage to their own ships in order to get killing shots. Lieutenant Brad Wilson's fighter took a direct hit from an alien energy weapon, tearing a hole in his ship's hull. Atmosphere vented into space through the breach, and his navigation systems failed. But instead of ejecting from his damaged fighter, Wilson pointed his ship directly at the nearest alien cruiser and fired his engines. "Wilson, eject!" Amy Park screamed over the radio. "Your ship is finished." "Negative, Valkyrie leader," Wilson replied, his voice calm despite the fact that he was about to die. "I can still take one of them with me." Wilson's fighter struck the alien cruiser at full speed, its remaining missiles detonating on impact. The explosion tore through the alien ship's hull, causing massive damage to its propulsion systems. The cruiser began to drift, no longer able to maneuver effectively. On the Shadowbane, Commander Vex High watched in horror as the human pilot sacrificed his life to damage one of his ships. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen such behavior. The humans were fighting like animals, accepting terrible losses in order to hurt their enemies. "Sir, the humans are not fighting like any species we have encountered before," Zanuck reported. "They are willing to die to achieve their objectives." Vex High understood what his officer meant. The Zelkari were an advanced civilization that valued life and comfort. They fought with superior technology and tactics, but they always tried to minimize their own losses. The humans seemed to care only about winning, regardless of the cost. The Defender was now in the middle of the alien formation, its massive guns firing in all directions. The ship's point defense systems created a sphere of destruction around it, shooting down the smaller alien fighters and missiles before they could reach the hull. Commander Betty Walsh, the Defender's tactical officer, coordinated the ship's defensive systems with practiced efficiency. "Captain, we are taking heavy fire from multiple directions. Shields are down to 60%. Reroute power from life support to the shield generators," Morrison ordered. "We can breathe recycled air for a few hours." The order was immediately carried out. Throughout the ship, the environmental systems shut down to conserve power. The crew would have to endure stale air and fluctuating temperatures, but the shields would hold longer. This was another difference between human and alien thinking. The Zelkari would never sacrifice crew comfort for military advantage. Their ships were designed to maintain perfect living conditions at all times. But humans were willing to accept discomfort and even danger if it meant gaining an edge in battle. Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked at her science station, analyzing the alien technology, even as the battle raged around them. "Captain, I am detecting weaknesses in their defensive systems. Their shields are powerful, but they are not designed to handle rapid-fire kinetic impacts." "Explain," Morrison said. "Their energy shields are very good at dispersing beam weapons and particle streams. But our railgun projectiles are solid matter moving at extreme speeds. Each impact creates stress fractures in their shield matrices." Morrison understood immediately. "Weapons switch to rapid-fire mode. Hit them with everything we have." The Defender's railguns began firing as fast as they could cycle, sending a continuous stream of tungsten projectiles at the alien ships. The aliens' shields sparkled and flared as they absorbed the impacts, but each hit weakened them further. The alien fleet was beginning to break apart under the relentless human assault. 2 more ships had been destroyed, and several others were heavily damaged. The Zelkari had never faced an enemy that could match their technology and exceed their determination. Commander Vexhai watched his fleet being torn apart by a single human ship and a squadron of fighters. His tactical displays showed the terrible truth. He was losing this battle. The humans were not the primitive species his intelligence reports had described. They were warriors, skilled and determined fighters who would die before they surrendered. "Sir, we are receiving communication requests from several of our ships," Zenek reported. "They are requesting permission to withdraw from the battle." Vexhai closed his eyes for a moment. In 300 years of Zelkari expansion, no fleet had ever retreated from a battle with a primitive species. But he was beginning to understand that the humans were not primitive at all. They were something far more dangerous. They were survivors. Battle continued to rage in the darkness between worlds, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The humans had shown the galaxy that Earth would not fall easily to alien conquest. The age of easy victories was over. The battle between the human warship and the alien fleet had been raging for 2 hours. In that time, both sides had learned things about each other that changed everything they thought they knew about warfare. "Captain," Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defender, watching the tactical display as his ship continued to fight against overwhelming odds. His crew had performed beyond his highest expectations, pushing their equipment and themselves to the absolute limit. But he could see that the aliens were learning too, adapting their tactics to counter human strategies. "Captain, we are receiving detailed scans of the alien vessels," reported Dr. Elena Rodriguez from her science station. "The computer has been analyzing their hull construction and internal systems." Morrison moved to her station to look at the data. What he saw surprised him. The alien ships were incredibly advanced, with technology that was clearly superior to anything humans had built. But there was something strange about their design. "Show me their crew quarters," Morrison ordered. The display changed to show the interior of the alien ships. Morrison's eyes widened as he saw spacious rooms with comfortable furniture, advanced life support systems that maintained perfect environmental conditions, and recreational areas for the crew to relax during long voyages. "They have artificial gravity set to exactly 1 G, Rodriguez pointed out. Temperature is maintained at a constant 22 degrees Celsius. Air composition is kept at optimal levels for their species. These ships are designed for comfort, not for extended combat operations." Morrison looked at his own ship's specifications on a nearby screen. The Defender was built very differently. The crew quarters were small and cramped, with barely enough room for a person to sleep. The life support systems were basic but reliable, designed to keep people alive rather than comfortable. The ship could operate for months with minimal resources. "They are not used to hardship," Morrison realized. "Look at this. Their ships cannot function properly if any of their comfort systems fail." Rodriguez nodded. "Yes, sir. If they lose artificial gravity, their crew cannot work effectively. If the temperature fluctuates, their systems begin to malfunction. They have built their entire military around the idea that they will always have superior technology and perfect conditions." Morrison thought about his own crew. They had been living on recycled air for the past hour, with life support power diverted to the shields. The temperature on the ship had dropped several degrees, and the artificial gravity was fluctuating. But his people kept working, kept fighting, because they were trained to survive in harsh conditions. "Captain, we are getting reports from the fighter squadrons," reported Communications Officer Pete Ryan. "Lieutenant Park says the alien pilots are not pushing their ships to maximum performance." Morrison activated the communication channel to speak with the fighter wing commander. "Valkyrie leader, this is the captain. What can you tell me about enemy fighter tactics?" Amy Park's voice came through the speakers, steady despite the fact that she was engaged in deadly combat. "Sir, their ships are faster than ours, and their weapons are more powerful, but their pilots are not flying aggressively. They seem to be trying to avoid taking damage rather than trying to win." Morrison understood immediately. The alien pilots were skilled, but they were trained to fight against inferior opponents. They were used to battles where their superior technology gave them an overwhelming advantage. When faced with humans who were willing to accept damage to achieve their goals, they did not know how to respond. "Continue the engagement, Lieutenant. Push them hard. Make them fight the way we fight." "Roger that, sir. We will make them uncomfortable." On the Shadowbane, Commander Vex High was learning his own lessons about human warfare. His tactical officers were providing him with information about the human ship that made no sense. According to Zelkari military doctrine, "Sir, the human vessel is operating its power systems at levels that should cause permanent damage," Senak reported. "Their reactors are running at 115% of safe capacity. Their weapons are firing faster than the cooling systems can handle. They are destroying their own equipment to maintain their rate of fire." Vex High stared at the readings in disbelief. No rational commander would push his ship beyond its design limits. The humans were accepting damage to their own systems in order to maintain their combat effectiveness. It was madness. "They are going to burn out their own ship," he said. "That appears to be their intention, sir," Zenak replied. "Our analysts believe they are willing to sacrifice their vessel if it means defeating us." Vex High had never encountered such thinking. The Zelkari fought to conquer, not to destroy. They wanted to capture territory and resources, not to engage in mutual destruction. But the humans seemed to care only about stopping the alien invasion, regardless of the cost to themselves. "Sir, we are receiving casualty reports from the fleet," another officer reported. "The humans have destroyed 5 of our ships and damaged 3 others, but they have lost only 6 fighters. Their main ship is still operational. HFY looked at the tactical display, seeing the truth that his officers were reporting. His fleet was being destroyed by a single human warship and a squadron of fighters. Ships that had conquered worlds were being torn apart by an enemy that should have been helpless against their superior technology. How is this possible? He asked. His science officer, an elderly Zelkari named Korthai, spoke up from his station. Commander, I have been analyzing human military history. They have a very different approach to warfare than we do. Explain, HFY ordered. The humans have been fighting each other for their entire recorded history. They have had thousands of wars on their home planet. They have used every type of weapon imaginable, from primitive clubs to weapons that could destroy their entire world. They have learned to fight in every environment, under every condition. HFY listened carefully. The intelligence reports had mentioned human conflicts, but he had not understood the significance. They do not fight to conquer, Korthai continued. They fight to survive. When a human is threatened, they will use every resource available to them, even if it means destroying themselves in the process. They have turned warfare into a science. But their technology is inferior to ours, HFY protested. Yes, sir. But they have learned to maximize the effectiveness of inferior technology. They push their equipment beyond safe limits. They accept casualties that we would consider unacceptable. They are willing to sacrifice everything to achieve victory. HFY began to understand. The Zelkari Empire had grown soft during its centuries of easy conquests. They had forgotten what it meant to fight for survival. They had become used to winning through superior technology and overwhelming force, but the humans had never stopped fighting. They had spent thousands of years learning how to defeat superior opponents. They had developed strategies and tactics that the Zelkari had never encountered. Sir, the human ship is changing course, Zenak reported. They are heading directly for us. HFY looked at the tactical display and saw the defender moving toward his ship at maximum speed. The human captain was not content to fight at long range. He was bringing his ship into close combat with the Zelkari advantages in weapons. Range would be neutralized. Evasive maneuvers, HFY ordered. Do not let them get close. But the defender was faster than his ship. The human vessel had been designed for speed and agility, while the Shadowbane was built for comfort and prestige. The human ship closed the distance quickly, its weapons firing continuously. Sir, they are targeting our bridge, Zenak reported. They want to destroy our command center. HFY realized that the humans were not trying to capture his ship. They were trying to kill him and his crew. This was not conquest. This was total war. Open a communication channel, he ordered. I want to speak with the human commander. The channel opened, and for the first time, HFY saw the face of his enemy. Captain Morrison looked tired but determined, his uniform stained with sweat and coolant from the battle damage his ship had taken. I am Commander HFY of the Zelkari Empire, he said. I wish to discuss terms. Morrison's expression did not change. The terms are simple, Commander. Leave our star system and never return. Earth is not for conquest. You do not understand, HFY replied. We are offering you a chance to surrender. You cannot defeat our entire fleet. Morrison looked at him with cold eyes. Commander, you came here to destroy my people. You expected us to be weak and helpless, but we are not. We are survivors, and we will fight until the last human is dead before we let you take our world. HFY felt a chill run through his body. The human captain was not bluffing. He really was willing to fight to the death. And if the humans were willing to die, to defend their world, then no force in the galaxy could conquer them. The revelation changed everything. The Zelkari Empire had built its power on the conquest of weaker species. But they had just encountered a species that would rather die than be conquered. The age of easy victories was over. The battle between the human warship and the alien fleet was coming to an end, but not in the way anyone had expected. The Zelkari Empire had sent 12 ships to conquer Earth, but only 7 ships remained. The others had been destroyed or damaged beyond repair by a single human battleship and its fighter squadron. Commander HFY stood on the bridge of the Shadowbang, looking at the tactical display that showed the truth of his situation. His fleet was broken, his ships were damaged, and his crew was demoralized. They had come expecting an easy victory against a primitive species, but they had found warriors who fought with a determination that the Zelkari had never encountered. "Sir, we are receiving surrender requests from 4 of our remaining ships," reported Zenak. "They are requesting permission to withdraw from the battle." HFY closed his eyes. In 300 years of Zelkari expansion, no fleet had ever surrendered to a primitive species. But he was beginning to understand that the humans were not primitive. They were something far more dangerous. They were survivors who had learned to fight against superior odds. "Open a communication channel to the human ship," he ordered. "I want to speak with their commander." The channel opened, and Captain Morrison's face appeared on the screen. The human captain looked tired but alert, his uniform stained with sweat and coolant from the battle damage his ship had taken. Behind him, the bridge of the human warship showed signs of the fierce fighting, with sparks still flying from damaged systems and crew members working to repair battle damage. "I am Commander HFY of the Zelkari Empire," the alien commander said, his voice heavy with defeat. "We yield." The bridge of the defender fell completely silent. In all of human history, no alien species had ever surrendered to them in space. Combat. Morrison felt the weight of this moment, understanding that his next words would be remembered for generations. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Defender," he replied, his voice steady and calm. "Why did you attack us, Commander?" HFY's elegant features showed shame and confusion. "We believed you were primitives. Our intelligence reports suggested that your species had barely achieved interstellar flight. We thought you would be easy to conquer." Morrison nodded slowly, understanding the alien's mistake. "We have achieved interstellar flight, Commander. But this ship, the Defender, is our first real battleship. We launched her just 6 months ago." The silence that followed was profound. HFY's expression changed from shame to something approaching. "Terror? Your first battleship?" "Yes," Morrison continued, his voice remaining steady but not threatening. "We have 17 more ships like this one under construction. Each one will be better than the last, incorporating everything we learned from this battle. Humans are very good at learning from our mistakes." Chief Engineer Danny Carter stepped forward, his uniform still stained with coolant and lubricants from the emergency repairs he had been making during the battle. "Captain, if I may speak?" "Commander HFY, your ships are beautifully designed. They are clearly the work of an advanced civilization, but they are built for a different kind of war than we fight." "What do you mean?" HFY asked, genuine curiosity replacing his earlier arrogance. "You fight to conquer," Carter explained. "Your ships are built for comfort and efficiency. They are designed to operate in perfect conditions against weaker opponents. But we fight to survive. There is a big difference in how you build things when your species has spent 10,000 years trying to kill each other on the same planet." Dr. Ilana Rodriguez moved to another console and accessed the ship's historical database. "Commander, our planet has seen more than 4,000 major wars in recorded history. We have fought with wooden clubs and stone axes. We have used chemical weapons that poisoned our own air. We have built nuclear weapons that could destroy our entire world. And through all of that, we never stopped trying to reach the stars. Morrison watched the alien commander's face as the full implications of this information became clear. We did not build this ship to conquer other worlds, Commander. We built it because we knew that someday someone would come to conquer us. Today, that someone was you. Vex-High's hands trembled as he processed what he was hearing. The humans were not just another primitive species to be added to the Zelkari Empire. They were warriors who had been preparing for this moment for their entire history. What will you do with us? Vex-High asked, fear evident in his voice. Morrison looked around his bridge, seeing the faces of men and women who had just fought humanity's first interstellar war. Engineers who had pushed their equipment beyond safe limits to keep the ship fighting. Pilots who had flown into certain death to protect their home world. Crew members who had worked through hull breaches and radiation exposure because their species needed them to. We will repair your ships, Morrison said, surprising both his own crew and the alien commander. We will give you supplies and safe passage back to your territory, and we will send a message with you. What message? Vex-High asked. Morrison thought carefully about his words, knowing that they would be heard by alien rulers across the galaxy. Tell your empire that Earth stands ready to defend itself. Tell them that humanity does not seek war, but we will not run from it. We are willing to share the stars with other species, to trade and learn from each other. But if anyone comes to our worlds as conquerors. He gestured toward the tactical display, where the wreckage of alien ships drifted among the asteroids, like monuments to the cost of underestimating humanity. Tell them we are building more ships. Tell them we are learning. And tell them that Earth will not go quietly into the dark. Over the next several hours, human repair crews worked alongside Zelkari engineers to fix the damaged alien ships. It was a strange sight, former enemies working together to ensure that the defeated fleet could make it home safely. The aliens were amazed by human engineering skills, watching as the humans improvised solutions to problems using equipment that was barely adequate for the task. Lieutenant Amy Park led a team of pilots who helped guide the damaged alien ships out of the asteroid field. As she flew escort for a crippled Zelkari cruiser, she could not help but think about Lieutenant Wilson and the other pilots who had died in the battle. Their sacrifice had saved not just Earth, but possibly prevented a war that could have consumed the entire galaxy. On the bridge of the Defender, Morrison watched the alien fleet prepare to depart. Dr. Rodriguez approached him with a datapad containing the complete records of the battle. Captain, I have compiled all of our tactical data for transmission to Earth Command, she reported. The information about alien technology and tactics will be invaluable for designing our next generation of warships. Morrison nodded. Send it immediately, and make sure every human colony gets a copy. If the aliens decide to try again, we want to be ready. Commander Vex-High appeared on the communication screen one final time before his fleet departed. Captain Morrison, I must ask you something. Your species could have destroyed us completely. You had won the battle. Why did you choose to let us live? Morrison considered the question carefully. Because we are not conquerors, Commander. We fight to protect what we love, not to destroy what we fear. But do not mistake mercy for weakness. If you come back as enemies, we will not hesitate to defend ourselves. I understand, Vex-High replied. And Captain, your species will change the galaxy. The age of easy conquest is over. Other species will hear what happened here today, and they will know that humans cannot be intimidated. The alien fleet departed, limping back toward their home. Territory with news that would reshape galactic politics. The Zelkari Empire would never again underestimate a species based on their level of technology. They had learned that there were things more dangerous than advanced weapons: determination, courage, and the willingness to fight for survival. As the last alien ship disappeared into the darkness between stars, Morrison turned to his crew. "Well done, everyone. We have just announced to the galaxy that humanity is ready to take its place among the stars. But this is just the beginning. There will be other challenges, other threats. We must be ready." The crew of the Defender understood. They had won humanity's first interstellar war, but they had also started something that would continue for generations. The human species had stepped onto the galactic stage, and they had made it clear that they would not be victims. Earth would. Build more ships, train more crews, and explore more worlds. And if anyone tried to stop them, they would learn what the Zelkari had learned, that humans do not fight to conquer, but to survive, and that makes all the difference in the universe.